There, there we go. Three, two, and one. Well, Mayor Zacher, who is again appearing in this forum exclusively as the mayor of Wisconsin Rapids, nothing that is said here in this forum should be taken as to mean anything else. He is the mayor of Wisconsin Rapids, and this is Mayor's Monday. WSAU, WSAU.com. I've had mayors that have a legal background. I've run that disclaimer by them. They tell me it works. They tell me it's good enough. I don't know if it'll hold
Yeah,
up in a court of law, but it sounds good.
sounds good to me. I have no
Yes,
intentions of going against your disclaimer there, so we're good.
indeed. So Mayor Zacher, I mean, what's going on down there in Wisconsin Rapids? Everything has seemed relatively quiet the last couple of weeks.
Well, winter, the cold of the winter, it does slow everything down a little bit, but there are lots of things happening, and my excitement is always in the entrepreneurial activities, the startup businesses, the smaller businesses growing into bigger ones and expanding, and the different people that bought different parts of the mill and are developing, growing their business that way. Like that's all exciting stuff. I mean, that's all potential companies that can continue to grow and grow. It's the backbone to the economy, worldwide. So that to me is the most exciting part, as well as trying to take care of the mill and figure out that last remaining, 16 mill building. It's a tricky one just because it's so big, um,
Mhm.
so specific. But we're working on it, and we've had some pretty good customer potential people to buy it. But again, it's a big ask. It's a 650,000 square foot building. It's a big one.
I'm given to understand Amazon's always looking for space, but uh,
Yeah, this is a pretty specific building with some pretty big holes in the second floor to accommodate the machine.
mhm.
So I think usually they know what they need to build and they build it fresh.
Yeah, yeah, and obviously the mill. We're getting to the end now. I mean, to the final weeks of the deconstruction on this. I'm sure,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. I just met with the owner of MRD, Jerry, and he assured me they're grinding up the concrete. We can see that happening. It's really piles of concrete. A lot of the concrete has been done. It's just the stuff that has rebar in it, so they gotta be a little more careful and with how they're doing it, getting that done, and then a few more uh, more difficult to get down structures. They're not buildings. They're kind of like tanks in a way. And if you got
Mhm.
stainless steel, cement and rebar, stainless steel all sandwiched together, that doesn't come down real easy. So they're just chipping away at it as they can and getting the job done. Doing a great job.
Yeah, these things when they were first built were not built with the intent that they ever be taken down. That's one
Oh
thing I
yeah.
can say for sure.
Yep.
Just look up the Zip feed mill in Sioux Falls from about 2006
Yeah.
when they charged that thing to implode, hit the button to detonate the explosives, and the building didn't come down. It just leaned.
That's
That's
impressive.
yeah,
That's
that's
impressive.
the quality that they built these things to back in the day. And they had to bring in and manually deconstruct this building over years and that which of course then delayed the redevelopment of that site. Go ahead and
Yeah.
look that up. It was a great viral video back in the day on YouTube when you had to dial in and wait 6 minutes for
Yeah.
the video to load. Nonetheless, though, again, you mentioned redevelopment at that site. Just give us the brief overview. Where are we at on that side? Is this something that could be there could be announcements pending?
Yeah, again, we can't get ahead of ourselves just because anything can happen. There's been companies that have come through that, have put down payments down or, like good faith money, that kind of stuff that have
Mhm.
lost it to talk about that building and the 220 acres behind there. But again, you can't put the cart before the horse. Anything can happen when you're talking about stuff this big. But again, it's got a significant amount of power there. But when you're talking about, some of the stuff that's on the horizon with the, AI database companies and all that stuff, 60, 70 megawatts is nothing compared to what they're looking for. But, it's there, it's ready to be used. Um, Good things are happening, and we'll let you know as soon as we know for sure.
Absolutely. We'll be waiting on that. The other big thing for the last couple of weeks in Wisconsin Rapids, I just wanted to touch on the solar array. What ended up being decided a couple of weeks ago with this solar array, and what are the next steps going forward?
Yeah, there's a few things that they had to go through. The planning commission decided to switch the designation to conservancy land, so therefore we couldn't develop it. And then they agreed to put a conditional use on it to allow the solar array to be built on it. And then that sent it to the Finance and Property Committee to give WWLC the go ahead to sign the final contract with One Energy. Um, you know, so everything's in motion now. All the contracts have been signed, so now it's a matter of preparing the land. That'll start, as the winter comes to an end here, and we can get in there and start preparing the land, clearing the inside out where it's going to be kind of hollowed out in a way. I think they're going to go ahead and plant the seed as soon as they can in certain areas to start getting the native plants and wildflowers growing in there, because that's going to take a few years to get going, as well as continue to build the solar array inside its area. So it's all in the works. It should be up and running if all things go according to plan towards the second half of 2007.
27.
Sorry,
Yes,
2027. Sorry about that.
2027. This
20,
we're not.
20 years too early. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Mayor Zacher has figured out time travel.
Yep. No, keep going
Yeah.
back.
so the biggest takeaway from this, obviously for the residents, is uh it is going to help the economy in some ways. It may not look like it on your individual power bill, your utility bills every month, but there are going to be some benefits to this, right?
Yeah, it's not as simple as black and white, because as this data revolution, whatever this looks like, nobody knows for sure what's going to come of it in terms of how big they're going to build, how fast, and then where the crash comes in, because they're going to just usually with the technology stuff, they're planning for the biggest part, and then it'll implode a little bit, and then out of the ashes will grow the companies and the business models that will sustain for the next whatever 20 years, 30 years, 40 years going into the future. So the tricky part about that is we don't really know where the rates are going to go for all electric companies, because we're not really talking about, let's say a database company puts in a facility, they can't socialize their costs onto residents or other businesses. They have to pay for their costs. But if we're actually talking about, which is what they're talking about right now, is we're going to triple our demand, which means we're going to have to roughly speaking, triple our ability to generate that much demand. If that's going to happen, then we're going to need new facilities. So if the big companies that generate our electricity in Wisconsin are building new facilities and phasing out old ones, or however that takes place, we're all going to take part in building those new facilities for the future. So that's where our taxes or our rates are going to go up. But what we're doing is, on average, Wisconsin Rapids uses 30 megawatts of power. Sometimes it's up to 50, sometimes it's down to 10, but in that area on average. On average, this solar array will generate 5 megawatts of power. So in reality, it's on average creating a sixth of our power. So there is going to be savings there. Whether you're going to see them on your bills or not, it's not that your bills are going to drop, it's that they're just not going to go up as much. And we intend on having some systems set up to track the solar array for for ratepayer consumption, public consumption, so they can see what the array is generating, what that means to the prices, what that means to their specific bills, to the best of our ability to make it a community solar array as much as possible. You're not going to get everybody happy all the time. But the big part is we're putting in $100,000 in order to plug it into our distribution system. And it's due to save us about $17 million over the next 30 years. Again, I know people are still going to be naysayers, but ultimately that's a pretty tough argument to fight against. But at the same time, I respect everybody's feelings about solar and their worry about all the worries that they have about the different aspects of a solar array in the area.
And again, I will just throw it out there. Hops grow very well under solar panels.
I'll let them
You
know
get
that.
a you get a
Yeah.
local brewing company under there, put some hops in. You're gonna have something that's absolutely tasty down at B's Tap House
In the
in
tap house.
Jennings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll check. I'll let Brandon know that and let him know that's coming. I know they have
absolutely.
plans too, so yeah, I appreciate all they do in the community. He does a
Yeah,
lot. The family
yeah,
does a lot. So
no doubt about it. And it's still one of the better burgers I've had around here in central Wisconsin. Comes from Jennings, and that's not a paid endorsement there, but I will not uh, turn it down.
I'm always amazed at their creativity.
No
Yep.
kidding. No
Yep.
kidding.
Pretty awesome.
One more thing before we let you go, Mayor Zacher. The other big thing that's been going on in town, the ATV UTV ordinance among shared corporate limit roadways.
Yep.
Untangle that legalese for us.
Well, again, you got to take it a step back a little further to it. I'm just going to go to the referendum itself. So
Mhm.
the people that are mad at this, rightly so. I get why they're mad. But the people who are in favor of the ATVs and UTVs, and again, I've gotten to know them. They're all good people. It's just this is something that they really want. So they're pushing for it, really hard. But that referendum was brought to the people on the ballot through the people who are in favor of it. So it wasn't a city referendum. It was the citizens that wanted ATVs, UTVs that got the signatures, got it all together and put it on there, which in and of itself it's an amazing feat. They
Mhm.
got it on there with the assumption they were going to get the votes to pass it, and lo and behold, it came back that I think roughly speaking 3,500 to 2,500 it was voted down. So in that same time frame, though, the county all the other communities around Wisconsin Rapids have opened up. The county has encouraged, uh, let's just leave it at encouraged everybody to open up, but they never got Wisconsin Rapids to open up their roads to ATVs, UTVs. But there was one road, Griffith Street, that's the county road that they opened up. And in order
Mhm.
for us to close it, we needed to do an ordinance. So we actually ended up writing an ordinance that function for the whole city, saying there are no ATV UTVs allowed on our roads except for this 625 feet of Griffith. At that time, they had talked about saying all the combined roads between, say, Grand Rapids and Wisconsin Rapids, or Saratoga and Grand Rapids or Wisconsin Rapids, those are all going to be open on one side, but not the other side. A lot of people will say, too bad, so sad. But there is enough people that said, let's fix that so that those people can leave and come home and not be breaking laws. And it goes under the same ordinance as our bigger ordinance with just opening those sides of the roads that are ours. So that's what happened. So now people can leave and come back legally. How do then, there's all the other concerns of how do you enforce that and all that. But we're going to work that through. Again, my recommendation to the state is to figure out a statute that works for everybody and just make it a one decision, one process, one way forward for all vehicles on the roads following the same exact rules would be so much better. So that's my little,
Mhm.
I guess, there. So
So essentially, what happened is Wisconsin Rapids became a donut hole.
we are. And
You've got it all
the
the way around. So now what you're trying to do is be able to kind of link up some of those roadways through the donut hole without making people drive all the way around to do so legally, right?
nope, nope, that's not what happened. It was just
Okay.
when we had a shared road,
Hmm.
when your jurisdiction or your boundary ends, it ends halfway through the road, and then the other half is the other neighboring community. So like the town of Grand Rapids is just an
Sure.
example. So their half of the road was open and our half was not open. So people could leave, but they couldn't come back legally.
Hmm.
So what we did was just open those sides that are shared roads with the surrounding communities. We didn't open any roads going through communities, through our community yet, so we still have that issue. And
Sure.
and I hate to tell people this, um, but and I know that people are going to be mad because there was a referendum that was sent out and it was voted down. Again, that referendum was not a city referendum. That was a referendum by the people that wanted the ATV UTV ordinance to pass. So that's who they're kind of the battle is with. But there are aldermen on the council that could vote things down, but that group of aldermen that support them is growing. So eventually it's going to be here, and people are going to be mad about that because of the referendum that went through. But I don't know how to stop it unless they are able to switch the demographic of aldermen that are for
Right.
it, not for it. So
Democracy in action, right?
it really is. And again, it's not the end of the world. It would be nicer if saying it again, if the DOT would just say, okay, they're allowed on the roads. These are the rules they're following, just like everybody else. Drinking and driving, license, insurance, age limit. You got to learn how to drive before you can drive on the roads. It's just going to keep everybody safer. But
Mhm.
we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Well, Mayor Zacher, we always appreciate the time. I look
Yep.
forward to chatting again next month.
Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it. Have a good day.
There we go. Stop there.